Guess what time it is? It's time to go. Let's do this.
If you could change any choice you have ever made, would you? You can always make another choice and change the course of your success. Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of the Inspired Choices Show, business optimization expert, Christine McIver.
That's me. Hello, 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 my friends. I'm so happy that you are here tonight and you've decided to join this, what's going to be guaranteed a very, very interesting conversation. So tonight we are talking all about lack. How many of you are actually carrying a backpack of lack? I know I like to put together and I like to have fun with words that rhyme and catch on, but it's so funny how when this show came up, when this title came up to me, how it seriously read that the words are actually going to feed into everything that we're talking about today. So I am your host, Christine McIver, and I am a business optimization expert. I love to work with business owners, whether they are just beginning or they are well established and they're looking to elevate their business even more. I love to connect in, see where they would like to grow, work with them not only in their business, but also with themselves. And so, what you'll find here tonight and on all my other shows, you hear me talking a lot about what's going on within the entrepreneur themselves, as well as the business that we need to be paying attention to. So, that's what I love, love, love to do is to work with the business owners, the entrepreneurs, as well as their business. I'm also the honored owner of the Inspired Choices Network. We are coming up on our 7th year anniversary. We actually launched the Inspired Choices Network on January the 1st, 2017. And oh my gosh, the years have gone by so, so quickly. It has been just such a phenomenal experience in being with this amazing entity and also working with all the fabulous speakers, the hosts, the team members who have come through the network. It's been truly an honor, and it has taught me so much more about business and about working with and challenging business owners. And one thing that's a really, really big deal is that people are not operating from the space of prosperity as much as they might think they are. And that's where this show really came from. It's really talking to me about lack. And I can tell you that any show that I've ever created that's ever come to me to speak to, it's also been something that I've personally experienced. Very rarely will you hear me speak about something that I haven't experienced myself. And that is one of the best ways to operate is actually to work with someone who has been there before you. We can go to school and we can listen to people talk about what's in a textbook and they can read it to us and give us their interpretation of that. But when you're working with a coach, you want to be working with someone who has been there, who has done it, who has experienced it, and who can actually be one of the greatest resources to you. So, let's get into tonight's show. So, I am just going to read the show description to you so we can set off from there. So, do you struggle in any area of your life from lack? Do you find yourself never having enough? Enough money, enough business, enough joy, enough love, enough choice, enough clients? What if you have a full backpack of lack following you wherever you go? In a world that's seemingly suffering from lack, knowing how to change it can make a huge difference in your world and in the world of others. So that's what we're talking about tonight. And I'm super, super excited about it. So the very first thing that I want to bring your attention to is, where do we put a backpack? We put it on our back. Have you ever heard about the philosophy of, if you want to feel what it would be like to lose weight, to put extra weight on your back and then, walk a long, long ways or walk up hills and then take those boulders, those big stones, whatever it is that you have in your backpack, take them out of that and then walk that same journey. That gives you a sample of what life would be without the extra weight. Well, lack is also a weight. So, do you know the emotional scale? Have you ever heard about the emotional scale? Many of you probably have. And you will know that at the very top of the emotional scale is hope. That's the highest emotion that we as humans can experience. And at the very bottom of the emotional scale is suicide, death. And that's the lowest that we can experience. So at any point in time, we are on that scale. Well, what you will know if you've ever had anything to do with this is that the the higher you get on the emotional scale, the lighter your emotions will feel. So, we have all experienced deep, deep sadness, deep grief. On many of us have. I know I personally have. We've oftentimes have experienced fear, all of those types of energies, we call them the heavy energies, they really do weigh us down. Now, we chose to come here. I feel this very, very deeply in my bones that each and every one of us chose. We may not realize it consciously, but we chose to come here and we chose to experience life in a human body. Well, we chose to come here because it was going to be exciting. It was wonderful, the idea of coming and creating and being with others and being able to touch another human to human skin touch was exciting. It's an incredible experience to create as a human. We came here out of the desire to have more joy. You did not come here out of the desire to have more sadness, to have more anxiety, to have more worry. You came here to have more joy. Now, just the idea of coming here is absolutely phenomenal. It's actually a miracle. I don't have off the top of my head what the odds are, but the odds are so out of this world that you were born that you cannot help but be a miracle. So you chose to come and you're a miracle. How amazing is that? Now, you as a human, you are either experiencing or you're if you know the work of Abraham Hicks, you will have heard Abraham say, you either are in the flow or you are lacking being in the flow. It's not that you are either happy or you are sad. The heavier energies, the sadder energies, the depressed energies, all of that, those are a human experience. That is person man-made. It is not something that we brought here with us, the deep, deep sadness. So, with all of that in mind, I want you to realize that everything that when you think about the word lack and having lack in any area of your life, that's a heavy energy. And it is also a man made experience. We have bought into the idea of lack. Now, I know I've got so much to share with you, but laying this foundation, oh, and there goes my nose being itchy again. And if you know what that means. I'll talk to you about that later if you'd like. But we have to lay the foundation of our understanding about what lack is. You in today's society, if I said if you told me something and you said I lack this, you're without it. You don't have access to it. Now, we can all say, yeah, I've experienced that at some point in my life. But to have a backpack of lack is something that in what I'm teaching tonight is something that you have chosen to put in your backpack and carry with you. Carry with you in your experiences, carry with you in your thoughts, carry with you in your words, carry with you in your interactions, carry with you in your creations. We have got so much of this lack energy with us in all of those different areas, we don't even recognize how much we were operating from the space of lack. It's so pervasive. It has been weaved into our culture in a way that people believe lack is normal and that everyone has lack. And that is just not true. But what is true is that many of us have experienced it because it has become such of the norm in our society. And what I want to do tonight is I want to start to show you some of the areas where we're not paying attention and where we are not inviting in a different perspective and a new possibility regarding removing lack from our thoughts, our experiences, and our creations. So, if you are a business owner, if you're thinking about going into business, I'm going to be referring to a lot of that through tonight's show. If you're someone that just really wants to get rid of lack, you're going to be able to pick up on many of the things that I'm talking about tonight to bring that into your life as well. If you are with me on any of the platforms live, I would love for you to come on over to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com, click on the chat room on the menu bar, and join us where you can ask your questions, you can make comments, you can share your perspectives. I am okay with someone challenging what I am saying. That's how we learn, that's how we grow. If you are listening to this or watching the video somewhere across the world, and you have a thought or a comment, I would love to have you put that comment in, or please feel free to connect with me. You can send me an email, Christine, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca. Of course, our home station is inspiredchoicesnetwork.com, where you will find all of my shows. I have no idea, over 400 of my shows that I've done episodes over the years. I've had my own show since 2011, and you can also find amazing content from so many phenomenal hosts that we have here on the network. So, we are going to go for our first break of the show in just a minute. I would love for you to consider, while we are on break, the places that you believe that you have lack in your life. There's no right or wrong to this. I would really love you to just check in and think about, where do I believe that I have lack? Because that's going to really assist as we move forward with the rest of the show, where you start to recognize, this is where I have lack. Perhaps you believe, I have lack with money. I definitely have lack with money. Perhaps you believe, I have lack with my health. Perhaps you've experienced situations with relationships and you feel like you have lack in relationships. Whatever the case may be, I want you to think about that. And I just want you to write those areas down so that when we come back from break and we start to jump into this, that you will start to associate with these different perspectives with those areas of your life. So, you are listening to Inspired Choices. I am your host, Christine McIver. We are on the Inspired Choices Network. And tonight we're talking about, do you have a backpack of lack? Don't go away, my friends. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices based on our past experiences or based on what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join the Inspired Choices show with business optimization expert Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know, but may not choose, that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back. She brings all her expertise to every show. Are you ready to create and live the life you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with business optimization expert Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Okay, you are here tonight. And if you're just joining, thank you so much. Tonight, we're talking about lack. And I'm asking the question of each and every one of you is, do you carry a backpack of lack? Or maybe you have the backpack of lack, it's not on your back, but it's sitting right close beside you. Wherever lack is showing up in your life, let's talk about it and let's see what we can do to change it. So in the first segment, I really laid the groundwork about emotions and about the experience that we have of lack. Now, I am going to challenge you tonight, and I'm going to invite you into looking at lack as an emotion, not lack as a physical experience. I know. It's not going to feel real to you. Come on, Christine, what the heck are you talking about? But I'm going to invite you into that just for tonight, okay? So lack is an emotion. Lack is something that you believe that you are experiencing. Now, when we are in the energy of lack, when we are in the belief that we are in lack, we have a very narrow vision. We are in tunnel vision, and this is the only thing that we are seeing. And when that is the only thing that you are seeing, that's when we buy into the idea that this is an experience, that you are experiencing lack. I'm going to tell you this. I have a very strong knowing that less than 10% of people in the world truly experience lack. Most of us have the emotion of lack, but do not experience lack as most of us understand it to be. And that's something that is definitely going to get people riled up. But I really want to share what I know and what I've personally experienced and what I see around me and in the world. So if you are someone who has experienced lack, could you quantify how much lack you have actually experienced? Could you say something to the effect of, I lack food. I lack food. Now, if you lack food, that means you have nothing. You have the absence of food. Is it really true? If you were to go to your cupboard today, if you were to go to your fridge today, would there really be zero food in that fridge or in that cupboard? Would you truly lack food? I'm going to guess that's not true. I am going to also push the envelope and say that you probably have, especially if you're in a first world country, you probably have what people in a third world country would say that you are rich with food. Now, this is where we get into perspective, right? So if you are someone who is experiencing and have the ability to eat once a day with very small rations, and you see someone else that has enough food to, if they couldn't get out of the house, if there was a snowstorm, if they were completely stormed in, that they would have enough food for a week, that individual would say, you're rich with food. Now, if you are someone that hasn't eaten in a week, you might look at the person that only is able to eat once a day as someone who is also rich with food. What I really want you to get to right now and we can argue about all sorts of experiences in the world. But what I'm trying to get you to look at is what the experience or your understanding of what lack is in your world. Now, here's the challenge. The big challenge for us, I'm going to say that we are in a first world country. I'm going to be speaking to people in a first world country. I'm also going to be speaking to people who are entrepreneurs. If you are someone who is in both those situations and you are looking at your business that is not thriving in the way that you desire, you have more than likely experienced, as I have, a belief that you lack business, that you lack clients, that you lack creativity, right? When we are in this space and a belief that we lack something, we continue to beat the drum of lack. We plant that seed and we keep buying into that BS again and again and again. Now, absolutely, your words are very important, and they oftentimes can show you where your belief systems are. However, we use the same words. I forget how many words it is. I'm sure somebody in the chat room will remember. We use the same amount of words every single day, and we repeat the use of the same words. We don't actually expand our vocabulary, and we oftentimes do not expand our understanding of those words on a deeper level. So, with that in mind, we keep using the same words over and over and over again to the point that we don't even realize that we are using those words. I know it's been brought to my attention when I've used words. I've actually asked friends and colleagues to say, hey, if you hear me say this, I want you to point this out to me, because my intention is to up level who I am and how I show up in my world so I can show up in others' worlds in a better way as well. So I ask someone to do that for me. When I am working with my clients, I will point that out to them repeatedly. I will point that out to my friends if they're open to receiving that feedback. We use words. We use small little words that completely start to dig into the narrow crevices of lack that starts to creep open again and again in our perspective and in our world. And words is one of the big, big ways. Now, you may be great at watching your words, and you might be, like I've done, not want people to realize what's going on. So you are tiptoeing with your words. However, your thoughts continue to repeat again and again the words that you believe, which oftentimes are around lack. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean. So, in the past few days, there was a situation that arose in my life, in a relationship that I have, that made me very upset to the point that I was quite angry. And as that was going on, I was simultaneously looking at this going, okay, what is this anger creating for you, Christine? Now, this was just a thought that started to come for me. What is this anger creating for you, Christine? And then I started to have a conversation in my head where I said, okay, if what you desire is to have joy, and is to have more pleasure in your life and to have more loving, kind, respectful relationships, what are you doing in adding to this relationship not being that way when you are sitting in anger? So I had to call myself out on myself. And I had to start looking at that so that I could start to change this. Now, I have no control over changing someone else, their choices, the way that they show up in the world, the words that they use. I have no control over that. I only have control over myself, as do you. We don't have control over anything or anyone except ourselves. We'd like to think that we do, and we certainly try like good little boys and girls to control other people because what we want, and we want it now. But the fact of the matter is, that is not what we have the ability to do. So, as I was looking at this and I really started to pay attention to my thoughts, I started to shift my experience around the situation. I started to shift it. That's my responsibility. And if you are experiencing lack or feeling lack, you it's your responsibility to pay attention, and it's your responsibility to change it. Now, if you are walking around with a backpack of lack, the only person that can recognize this and change it is you. Are you willing to really dive deep into this conversation? Because this is a game changer when you start to see this. It can make all the difference in the world. I have somebody in the chat room who says the video is looping repeating parts of the sentences. I'm so sorry if that's happening. Hopefully it's not happening for everyone. And sometimes the internet is just funny. So how I do the whisper thing. Oh, I am reading things in the chat room. It has nothing to do with this. And that's really, really funny. I have an abundance of wonderful people in the chat room, which is really great. And sometimes I get distracted. So let's come back to what we were talking about. You have a responsibility. Are you willing to dive into this responsibility and look at where you are carrying this lack in your life and in your business? Now, here is something that we don't often think about. When you are desiring more, and humans are continuously desiring more. Has anyone ever said to you, are you never satisfied? Can't you just be satisfied with what you have? Well, this is not something that's wrong with you. This is absolutely not something that, you're dissatisfied or you're greedy. You as a human being, all of us as human beings, constantly have the desire for more. And this is part of what is really cool about creation. So when you have a desire for more, what you're doing is you're actually feeding your creations. Because when you desire more, the universe has your back. And when you know that you have an abundance of opportunities around you, that's when the creativity starts to open up. That's when the opportunities start to come your way. Or that's when you start to vibrate. That's when you start to really line up with these opportunities. You, my friend, have the ability to have greater and greater and greater opportunities, greater creativity, greater experience, and far more abundance than you've ever even imagined. But here's what happens. Your brain, my brain, all humans' brains are still programmed in the old, I can't even think of the word, when we were cave people, and where we always had to be on alert, where we always had to be looking for, okay, what's wrong? I need to pay attention. I got to be careful. And our brains are always on the lookout to protect us. You don't need to be protected. You need to be awakened. You don't need to be protected if you sit in your home and you work in your own business. You need to be awakened to your strength, to your abilities to come open up to the possibilities that are there. So if you are someone that is continuously, you wake up in the morning and you think, okay, what do I have to deal with today, right? Your brain has got you in that lack energy. What if you were to wake up and you were to say, I wonder what opportunity is going to come my way today? Now, I'm not talking about tricking your brain. I'm not talking about saying things or repeating affirmations and hope to God that it's going to come through. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about making a conscious choice to look from a different perspective. Because we all know that when you turn even just 1 degree slightly to the right, you will land somewhere completely different a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, a lifetime from now. This choice is available to you, and this opportunity is available to you. So if you are believing, if you are buying into lack is all around you, that you don't have enough of something, you're going to keep telling yourself that, and you're going to keep that on repeat, repeat, repeat. Now, when we come back from break, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this, but I really wanted you to have both situations that I was speaking about, both where you're operating from and what's going on with lack in our brains, because this is how we're going to start to recognize it so that we can choose to change this. All right. Pay attention to those areas where you're buying into lack. We'll come back to that again. You are listening to Inspired Choices. I'm your host, Christine McIver, on the Inspired Choices Network. We're talking about, do you have a backpack of lack? We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices based on our past experiences or based on what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join the Inspired Choices show with business optimization expert Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know, but may not choose, that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back. She brings all her expertise to every show. Are you ready to create and live the life you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with business optimization expert Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my friends. Yes, tonight we're talking all about lack. Do you have a backpack of lack? Are you walking around buying into your own lies that you have a backpack of lack? So let's dive into this a little bit deeper. And if you've just joined, I really ask you to go back and listen to the first two segments because they really feed into what I'm going to be speaking about now. So if you're a business owner, tell me which pops first. Are you living in the present? Are you living in the future, or are you living in the past? Where are you living right now? Which popped for you? I will tell you that most of us, most people, especially if lack is coming up in your world, most of you are living in the past. Now, I will tell you why that is. You have experienced lack in your life. So when you are looking at something, and when I say lack, I am saying less than your greatest desires, not lack as in the complete absence of something, right? Yeah, we've got someone said present, another one said present to future, another one said probably past, but trying not to. So if you have anything on your list where you believe that you operate from lack, In those areas specifically, for sure, you are in the past because you've bought into the lie that you don't have enough. And while you are working like a little beaver right now to ensure that doesn't happen again, you are referencing, whether you realize it or not, your mind keeps going back to reference. I don't want to experience that again. I don't want to have this again. And you continue to really operate in the past while you're trying to be present. Now, when you're doing that, you're buying the lie that your history is going to repeat itself. The only way history can repeat itself is if you are choosing not to be aware. Are you choosing to be aware, pay attention to your words, pay attention to your thoughts, and hold yourself accountable to your desires? Are you? Do you have a desire on your heart for something? I have a big desire. I have a huge desire. I have many, many desires, and I'm going to share one with you. I have this phenomenal, phenomenal house that one day I am going to build. When I was, oh my gosh, many, many years ago, it's more than 30 years ago, I saw this amazing picture, design, architectural design in the newspaper of this house. And I immediately fell in love with this house. It drew me in like, oh my gosh, it lit up every cell of my body. And I immediately cut that out. And what did I do with it? Is I put it in my hope chest. Now, don't laugh if you've never heard that before, because that was something that we as women were taught to put in there so we have with us to take into our marriages. Well, I took it into my future. So, but this picture just speaks to me, and it draws out so much from me that there is no way I cannot have that house. Now, I have done some things to really keep bringing that forward and to actualize that, but I have an incredibly strong awareness of my words when it comes to that house. For instance, you will not hear me say, I hope one day to have that house. Now, I'm using the word hope, which is the highest energy we can have. But what I'm actually saying is, I pray to God that somehow a big, huge miracle is going to happen and somebody's going to give me $1 million, or I'm going to win $1 million. And then by the grace of God, I can get it built. That's what that statement said. That didn't say, I am going to have that house, right? So even when you're using words, you've got to check the energy behind those words. So when I am operating from that house, when I am looking at that house, even saying the words, I am going to have that house, that actually keeps it in the future. Well, guess what? We cannot create in the future if we are not creating it in the present. Because guess what? We put it in the future, and that's exactly where it stays. It's not like we're driving down the road and suddenly we're at the future. No, when you are saying things with words of future, you are keeping it in the future. And because it stays in the future, stick with me, because it stays in the future, you look at your presence and the absence of your desires is there, and your brain goes to connect to the past when you felt like you were never going to have it, and suddenly you're marinating in lack. You are marinating in lack. So what we want to do is we want to change the words, especially when it connects in with our biggest desires. Our biggest desires are actually a really cool way to start to change all the areas where we're operating from lack. Now, remember what I said is you are always going to desire more. Always. That's who you are. Make that an exciting thing. I can remember as a young entrepreneur in the business that I am in now, I was connecting with clients, and I had 2 or 3 clients that I was coaching with. I was really just starting out, and I was watching and observing what other coaches at the time were doing. This was in the early 2000s, and what they were doing online. And I was blown away at all the things that they were creating. They created a book, they maybe had a podcast, they were creating courses, and I'm watching only a handful, but it felt like I was watching a lot. And I was watching them in their creation, and I remember saying, "Oh my gosh, what am I ever going to create? What am I ever going to create?" Well, you can hear the energy behind that, right? There was no belief that I was going to create something. I bought into the idea that everything has already been created. I know a lot of people say that. I do not believe that. And I do not know that today. I know very, very different today. And um, so I would look at what they were doing and I would buy into the idea that I am never going to have a robust creative business. I'm not going to have all sorts of different ideas, and I'm not going to be having a robust business. Well, I can tell you today, without going into details, that right now, just in the past month, I have had to say, okay, I need to slow down with all of my ideas and I need to get things organized. I need to get things really in alignment so that I'm not being uh, really like an avalanche of work with all of my ideas. It's so incredibly exciting. But to go from, yes, I have a very robust business. Joke's on me, Karen says. Thanks, Karen. But to go from believing that I would never have creative ideas to now going, hold the bus. Wait a minute, wait a minute. There has been a transformation within me. Am I done continuing to look at where I buy into lack? No. But this has become something that is incredibly important for me to pay attention to every single solitary day. So let's go back to the house. So, what do I say today instead of saying one day that house will be mine? What I am saying is, I am actively creating that house today. How am I doing that? Right? You might ask yourself. Well, it doesn't mean that I've gone out and I've started to dig on a plot of land. There's other ways to actively be creating something. Your belief system is one thing. I spend a great deal of time when I am in my silent times of creating, and I will walk up to that house. I will walk through that house. I will touch the granite on the kitchen counter. I'll open the windows and I will smell the beautiful fresh air outside. I will sit outside with my feet in the grass and watch the creek run at the foot of that lot. I will be actively creating that with my experiences. Now, this is not a show all about the law of attraction. This show is really about teaching you where you are coming from with lack. But this is one active experience that you can be having with your show, with your desires. And if you start to look at where am I operating from? Am I operating on the past? Am I in the present or I am in the future? That starts to change things. So when I earlier said um, about looking in the cupboard, I want you to look right now, not maybe at food, but let's look at money in your life. Do you have money? I'm going to wager that you do have money. If you are listening to me, you've got a phone or you've got a computer. So you have money. Now, is your money invested in your computer? Is your money invested in your phone? Do you have $10 in your wallet? You have money. There were times in my life where I had the idea that I lacked, that I was poor, that I didn't have enough. And when things got really tough, I would say, okay, Christine, all right, do you have a roof over your head? Check. Do you have food in the fridge for at least one more day's meals? Check. Are you safe? Check. Are your children safe? Check. I am so good. I am so good. I knew that I was going to make it for another day. And I believed solely that I had my own back and the universe had my own back. And things began to change. But if we are walking around our life, wringing our hands, going, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? If we are always worrying about the future, we cannot be present. We cannot change where we are at today. We shut off the opportunities being able to come to us because we are vibrating from a space of lack. The opportunities energetically cannot find us, and we cannot be open to receive them because we are in the energy of lack. You must pay attention to your words, pay attention to your thoughts, and pay attention to your emotions. Your beliefs that you may not think about a lot, that you may not talk about a lot, but that are deeply ingrained in you if the conversation should come up. If those beliefs come out and there's lack in there, that's where you are operating from. So you need to, and this is one of the exercises that I want to invite you into, look at those areas where you believe that you have lack and dive deeply into your belief systems, thoughts, about that area and the associated lack. Dive into that. Who did you buy that from? Whose voice do you hear? What are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you filling yourself up with that continues to be part of your day-to-day operations? What are you doing? You came here for joy. You chose to come, and there are opportunities everywhere. I know there's shitty things going on in the world. I don't live in a bubble. I know that there is awful hardship in the world. I know that. But I also know that we have so many examples of people having been in hardship and come out of it to be in such a prosperous place that they've turned around to assist others. If you care about the people in the world that are in hardship, not lacking, but are in hardship right now, take care of yourself. Get yourself straight. Get your thoughts straight. Get your belief system straight. Change the world. Become wealthy. Wealthy with your beliefs, wealthy with your thoughts, wealthy with your energy, and wealthy with your bank account so you can assist others to not only put food on their table, but to teach them how to also grow themselves to be prosperous. You're never going to change the world if you're operating from lack. Never, ever. And you have a responsibility to change this. We all have a responsibility to change this. But as arrogant as this might sound, it starts with you changing your own world first. It's critical that you do, because if you're trying to change somebody else's world, and I've watched people do this, you're trying to change somebody else's world with prosperity, but you're operating from lack, it's never going to work. You've got to change your own world first. All right, we're up for our last break. Please stick around. You're listening to Inspired Choices. We are on the Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Christine McIver. We'll be right back to round this all up.
Many of us make choices based on our past experiences or based on what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join the Inspired Choices show with business optimization expert Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know, but may not choose, that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back. She brings all her expertise to every show. Are you ready to create and live the life you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with business optimization expert Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Thank you so much for being here. I am thrilled that you're here. And if this show supports you, supports even one person, then I know that I am rich with joy. I know that I am prosperous with possibilities because what I have learned, I have shared. And by sharing that, this is how I contribute, along with so many amazing hosts here on the network, to changing the world. You have abundance all around you. You're just not seeing it. Well, we talked about tonight about having a backpack weighing you down. What if you were to remove that backpack and instead you carried a basket of brilliance, your brilliance with you? You would not have come here had you not chosen to make a difference in the world. You are brilliant. And one of the things that's really going to start to show you that you do not have lack in your life is for you to look beyond what you believe is lack and begin to see the abundance that you have. Really, really see it. See the connections that you have. Someone in the chat room earlier said, sorry, I have a lack with networking and getting out to meet new people. I don't know about that. And I know this person quite well. They are more active than I am physically out of the house. So that is their perspective. Now, if you switch that and you say, I have a desire to have more physical networking opportunities, that changes the whole game. Understand that you have a basket of brilliance. You came here with a basket of brilliance. You do not have a backpack of lack, but it's your choice. It's your opportunity to change this. One of the biggest things, and this is going to be the last piece I'm going to be talking about tonight, is one of the biggest things that I hear people, and it drives me crazy, hear people talking about is gratitude. What can you be grateful for? And this is what came to me today. Is your gratitude laced with guilt? Is your gratitude laced with guilt? Because so many of the times that we hear people talking about gratitude, and yes, gratitude will show you more and more and more of your abundance. But if it is laced from guilt, if you're coming from the perspective of you should be grateful, you are going to stay in that deep energy of guilt. Again, a heavy energy that's going to keep you down on those lower emotions. You absolutely need to be coming from the space of gratitude for certain when you feel it, when you are experiencing it. So I would love for you to check in on the one area of your life where you feel you have guilt and spend the next couple of weeks really looking at it, examining it, and look for where you do have abundance. Start to discover and uncover where you have abundance in that area and allow it to grow. See the change that will begin to happen within you. If you would like to connect, if you would love support in this area to really change this quickly, reach out to me, Christine at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com and inspiredchoices.ca, and let's see what we can create together. Until next time, my friends, remember that you can always make another choice. The opportunity is there for you. Just choose. Take good care. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, be willing to choose what you really desire. This is your life, making the choices that bring you all that you desire.